not getting. So it's a core competency in performance. It's fundamental as well as a fundamental leadership principle. And it has to do with how people behave, how they influence what they pay attention to, which ultimately leads to the actions that they take or that they don't take. So this is something that is just absolutely essential for any entrepreneur, any business owner, any person in management, anyone who is interested in improving their performances. See, what happens is people are, the training that is available today worldwide, well, Kim, can I be bold with you?
Absolutely.
The training available today worldwide, state-of-the-art training, doesn't work. And this is not my opinion, this is research. When a company starts a training program, there's a spike in performance, a spike in results. After the training program, they would like to see that spike continue in an upward trend. But the reality of what happens is that there's a dip in performance below where it was before the training, and then it improves to the same level that it was prior to the training, which says that training doesn't work. Now, there is a less attached to that. The unless is there must be a behavioral component. There must be a training program that teaches people how to implement what they just learned. And what I'm really talking about is, what's missing is, how do you create habits? Now, I take pride in two things about what I do. One is that it's based on laws of science. So what I've done is I've taken the laws of psychology, the laws of physics, the laws of biology, the laws of mathematics, and I've blended them together into layman's information about how to influence a person's performance. And I've also taken best practices of elite performers and blended that into this as well. So what I am doing, I can't tell you how excited we are about what I'm doing, because it's not being delivered by any other source, no other venue. And the reason it's not being delivered is nobody is competent in doing this, because I was one of the inventors of this information. Now, I had help from scientific folks. I would say their names, you probably wouldn't know who they are, but those folks are not speakers. They're not trainers. In fact, the people who helped me to develop this behavioral enhancement information, they have no interest whatsoever. I mean, they're research scientists. The only person that you may have heard of is, well, two of them. One is Steve Mariucci. He used to be a head football coach. And, I shouldn't talk about football, though, what's happening with Indianapolis this year. But anyway, and is that the pro football team that your guys would be looking at? That's Indiana. Never mind. Anyway, and I am geographically confused. And then there's another guy, you may have heard him. He was just on TV for Army-Navy game, Rich Ellerson. He's the head coach there. But anyway, those two folks were instrumental in helping me to develop this, because I developed this process as a football coach. And I was a college football coach. And, what results in is the learner's ability to shift what they're paying attention to. And that shifts their physiology, and that shifts their chemistry. It shifts everything, and the result is that they do something that they ordinarily would have avoided doing or been too busy to take the action. So it is a core competency to understand how to manage yourself, and that goes all the way down to a cellular level. And when people hear this, I mean, it's changing lives. It really is.
Okay.
So how can we communicate that? And is that something that your committee might be interested in?
I think it's definitely something that they would be interested in. I'm just kind of typing notes as you're talking. So I need to look back over here. So tell me, let's see.
Can I record this in case we want to pass this on? Okay, thank you. Oh, excuse me. It has been recording. My apologies for not mentioning. It's been on for 5 minutes. I didn't know I turned it on. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. In case we said any gems, we've got them recorded. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
It's okay. I'm just kind of looking back over these notes. So tell me what kinds of things you could do to pull in. So you understand that this is the International Association of Lighting Management Companies. So we have two types of members who attend this convention. We have our general members and we have our associate members. The associate members are those that are working for the large lighting distribution companies like Philips, Osram, Sylvania, GE. So the other component, the general members, are those who are actually doing the contract work. They're purchasing from the manufacturers, and then they have clients that they're in turn selling to. So everyone is in sales. So tell me how you could kind of incorporate that industry into what you're doing.
Well, it's very, it's a bullseye for what I'm doing, because it's not about, well, can you take some notes on something?
Yeah, I'm taking notes right now.
Would you draw across the top of the page 7 circles on a row about the size of a quarter, all the way across the top of the page, and tell me when you have 7.
Okay.
And this will directly answer your question. So we're going to go from the right all the way to the left, just like the Japanese do. I know that your audience is in the business that they're in because they love people. I always say that when I talk about this. And then I correct myself and say, okay, making money isn't the most important thing in your life, but it is up there in importance with air and breathing. So I put a dollar sign. Let's put a dollar sign in the far right circle.
Okay.
Now I'm going to give you a sequence of events that's appropriate for any type of sales. In order to make money, the next circle from the right to the left, write in the word sales. You need to have sales. So in order to make money, you need to have sales. In order to have sales, you need to have the product to sell. So product. In order to sell the product, you need to do presentations. In order to do presentations, you need to make calls. In order to make calls, you need to, excuse me, I made a mistake. In order to cross off calls, I hope you're using a pencil. In order to do presentations, you need to set appointments. Appointments goes in that circle. In order to set appointments, you need to make calls. In order to make calls, you have one circle left?
I do.
You need to have an attitude that supports you in taking that sequence of events. So attitude. And draw a line separating attitude from the rest of those circles. Now, from the right of that line, that's what's referred to as left brain information. And from the right of that line, that is the sales training, that is product training, that is understanding your marketplace, researching your clients, understanding their needs. That is all of the what to do and the how to do it. The United States is a leader in that type of training worldwide. But that is not the key that your group is looking for. The key is that first circle, which is attitude. Now, when I say attitude, what we have in the United States today that services that circle would be in the phrase motivational speaker. And motivational speaker is simply, in terms of behavior, it's not effective whatsoever. A motivational program is simply one word, and that is entertainment. Now, I don't say that with judgment. You know, look at basketball players' contracts. Entertainers are highly paid, right? Singers, musicians, some motivational speakers, but that's entertainment. Now, if your committee is looking for an entertainment speaker, then they have literally, when you talk about the top elite speakers, they've got hundreds to choose from. that are the best of the best motivational speakers that will come in front of your audience, and that they will tell a story and bring you to the verge of tears, then to laughter, a real cycle of the emotions. And as a result of that, your group would have, it's like you would have brought in a band, or it's like you would have brought in a comedian, or some other type of entertainment, a magician, a hypnotist. If your group is looking for that slot to be filled, you have a lot of choices to make. And even what I do would fill into that slot in terms of entertainment. But here's the major difference. The word is impact. If you're looking for impact, now that field goes from hundreds to tens. So the question becomes, what does it mean to have an impact? To have an impact means this: behavior is changed and the change is sustained over time. That's what it means to have an impact. And when you talk about changing behavior, this goes into the science of human behavior. And the science of human behavior says, and this is information over the last 7 years, brain plasticity. What that means is that the brain, all behavior is brain connections. The way the brain works, the chemistry of the brain, that's behavior. And it is entirely, here's a statement that I tell my audiences. You have far more capacity to create the events and circumstances in your life than you are aware of and that you are using. You have far,
Can you say that last statement again, please?
Yes, you have far more capacity to create the events and circumstances in your life than you are aware of or than you are using. And so what I do, it's not about, for that first circle, that attitude, it's not about adding something else in. It's about giving people access to what they already have. Every single person in your audience already has the knowledge of what they need to do to be more successful than they are. And that's in their health, their business, and their personal life. What they need is access to it. This developed out of necessity from my football coaching days, because the last place that I coached was Cal State Fullerton. And Cal State Fullerton was last in their conference every year until our staff was hired. And everyone that we played was better than we were. Everyone. The only way that we were going to win is to get our athletes to tap into the highest level of their talent, even though our opponents are all better than we are. But if we tapped into a higher degree of our talent and caught them when they were not tapping into their talent, we would be able to win. So what we did was we developed, and this is where I worked. When I first came out to California from New Jersey, I worked in research a guy by the name of Roger Sperry. I was at Caltech in Pasadena first. Roger Sperry won the Nobel Prize for left brain and right brain research. It was at Caltech that I developed this behavioral system to teach athletes how to tap in to their highest level of performance, and then how to do that every play. And so that's how we won. We won 2 conference championships, which is what springboarded me into speaking. And I also applied this for the women's gymnastics team at Stanford University, and they set records that had never been set before in that sport because they applied these techniques. And again, I didn't add something new. I gave them access to what they already had. I'll give you another example. Have you ever been absolutely exhausted?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any children?
I do.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
2 children. Young, old?
3 and 5.
Oh, 3 and 5. My shoulder starts hurting just thinking about that. I have a 10 and 8. But anyway, imagine that you go home and you are absolutely exhausted. You don't want to do a thing. Do you have a favorite chair?
I have a favorite couch.
A favorite couch, okay. You go home, you collapse into your couch, you've had a very rough week, you're absolutely exhausted. Now, people ask me, how do you motivate someone? Well, there is no such thing as an unmotivated person. You are very highly motivated in that state of mind to conserve energy, and to have absolute relaxation. So you're not unmotivated, you're highly motivated. And so you're absolutely slumped in your couch, absolutely exhausted. Now watch what happens. You see smoke, you see flames, you smell smoke. All of a sudden, on a snap, you shift your physiological state. You jump up, so you go from being absolutely lethargic, exhausted, to jumping up, grabbing your favorite child, and running out the house. Now, you see what happened? You shifted your state of mind. It took an outside influence to shift that state of mind, and that was the flames and the smoke.
Right.
What if you could do that on demand, by will? What if you needed to make some difficult calls? You can shift your state of mind and get yourself to take those actions. Or what if you needed to stay on a diet? Or shift your habits, to get up early and go to the gym and exercise. That's what I teach people to do. I should say that's the result of what I teach people to do, is that they're able to shift their habits to create a different mindset so that they get themselves to do what they know they need to do to reach their goals. So if they don't have behavior as a foundation, then everything that goes back to the 7 circles again, if you look to the right of that, everything that's to the right of that, which is what they do have, is incomplete. It's not until, and for attitude, what I say, it's the ability to shift what you pay attention to. That is what's missing, and it has a very core of accountability, and that's what's missing right there. And if you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, you see it all over the United States. Lack of accountability, a lack of of habits that are conducive to best results. I mean, we have people, and we have a government that spends money that they don't have. Well, that's a bad habit. It's all about taking a look at where in your life, and this is what I appeal to. How many people in the room, in the audience?
About 225, 250.
Yeah, I would talk to those 250 people, and I would tell them to put blinders on, to think about their current biggest challenge right now. The most prevailing problem that they have, that they are no longer willing to tolerate their current results. I'd ask them to keep that in mind and put blinders on and imagine that I'm talking to them one-on-one for as much time as I have. And it's, it has a chance to be very, very significant. In this, I don't know how much time I would have. I usually ask for minimum of 90 minutes if I could get it, up to 3 hours or more. If there's less time, I certainly can do programs of any amount of time, but I have a natural 90-minute program, and there is a chance that there can be significant changes as a result of what I would do in a short period of time, because of the nature of what I'm talking about. Human behavior, and the business aspect of it I customize to the industry. So I will talk about examples that are very specific to that industry, and I do that by my needs assessment, by my research, finding out what their specific challenges are, and I get very, very specific in terms of what those challenges are. So I'm really speaking their language as if I'm a insider speaker, industry speaker, with an emphasis in behavior. So I really get into, I do that by interviewing people on your board and, really understanding what the challenges are. So I will know the intricacies. If there's an assembly bill pending that would affect their shipping costs, for example, I'm going to know about it. If they're losing jobs to China, I'm going to know about it. If there's an issue in, no matter how small the issue is about materials for lighting, I'm gonna know everything. Well, I shouldn't say everything, but I'm gonna know the issues that are in front of them today, because it's not about those issues. It's about that first circle, what they're paying attention to. But anyway, that's what I do.
Okay, well, you have me very intrigued. But I come from a psychology